Okay. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? If you can hear me, let me know, at least in the comments or in the private chat. If you can hear me, so that I know my network is good to go. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yes, I can see our speaker says she can hear me. So I'm really excited about today. Very, very excited. This is such an amazing day, and it being the first of the year, the first webinar that we're having, and I'm so excited. I'm really excited about the lineup of speakers and everybody. And so, you know what they say about first? The first, they set the tone for different things that are going to happen. And what better way to kickstart the year than our amazing line of speakers and you inclusive. So I'm so excited. It's actually an absolute privilege to be here and to have you join us tonight. And I hope you are getting your writing materials ready to learn from what our speakers have to say. We have an amazing lineup of speakers. We have 3 speakers, and I cannot wait for you to learn from all of them. And so, if this is your first time joining the GrowthHackers Africa webinar, I would like to welcome you officially. You know how churches do. We welcome you. We're giving you a warm hug, a virtual hug, a handshake, a virtual handshake. I'm so happy to have you. And just to give you a brief overview of what GrowthHackers Africa does. So it's actually a thriving community designed for growth professionals, both in early stage and in growth stage. And it's majorly for product-led companies in Africa exclusively. And I'm going to be your host for this evening. I am Decenatious Precious, and I love marketing a whole lot. So that's why I'm really excited about moderating this session today. And my goal tonight is very simple. I just want to ensure that you get as much value from this conversation as you would. So it's going to be more than value for your time. So if you can hear me, let me know. I would like an engaged audience. I know that I might not be able to get feedback from everybody, but if at certain points you cannot hear me or I'm talking too fast, you can let me know so that I can slow down so that you'll hear me. And like I said earlier, we're going to have an amazing lineup of speakers. And it is not just about the speakers. It's not just about we asking questions. It's about you. It's a time for you to learn, time for you to learn from their wealth of experience, and then take what they said today and actually put it into practice in your own community or in your own brand or your own company that you work with or work in. And so if I'm excited as I am, I want to see the comments. I want to see the dancing emojis. I want to see your fire emojis. I want to see your favorite emojis so that I know that everybody here is following. And so before we move on, let me ask a question. I know that everybody here, as long as you're into marketing or you're either early stage or you're in the mid stage or you're already in the senior level, you have actually experienced growing a community at one point or the other. So you probably have tried to grow a community for your brand, just to push the brand, and something always happens. Probably at the end of it, everything in the community fizzles out. The excitement is no longer there. Everybody just like, what again do we do with this community? And that's why we have our speakers here today. They're going to answer all of these intricacies, all of these beautiful questions. And okay, I can see that it was changed. Okay, perfect. And so in no particular order, I want to introduce all our guest speakers. Okay, I want to introduce all our guest speakers. So first person in no particular order, we have Peace Obinani. She's actually a seasoned professional at the intersection of tech, marketing, and events with over 10 years of experience spanning multiple industries. Her expertise includes digital strategy, B2B and B2C marketing, visual storytelling, customer success, and event production. She plays a significant role in driving the success of 2 Nigerian leading fintech platforms, Piggyvest and Pockets, helping companies grow their digital presence and acquire millions of users. She's also the founder of Non-Tech in Tech, one of Africa's largest community for non-technical professionals transitioning into tech. In addition, she's the co-founder of the annual Non-Code Tech Summit and the founder and creative director of Produced by Lucid, a fast-rising event production company. And here's a fun fact. I was doing a bit of stalking and I found something. Peace and I have something in common. We actually wanted to study medicine and be doctors at one point in our life. But thank God we found another alternative. So don't be surprised if you see me working Google tomorrow, or working in one of the big fours, or working in Piggyvest. So now I'm going to introduce our second speaker. We have our second speaker here, Sodiq Akinjobi and is a powerhouse program manager with over 5 years of experience in community management, global marketing, developer relations, and program scaling. His academic background is just as impressive. He started out as a mechanical engineer at Harvard College of Technology and graduated as a system engineer from the University of Lagos and is currently pursuing an MBA. He's also currently part of the developer ecosystem team at Google, where he drives developer growth through community engagement and resource allocation across Africa. And here's something that he does. He's a sought after speaker and has spoken at different platforms in one of the biggest tech events in the country, even in the continent, actually. And I was going through his profile as usual, and I saw something that I said that at Fusion Tech event, an event he attended and he spoke at. And one thing really stuck with me, and he said something that he said, "It is not bragging if it is facts. It is not bragging if it is facts." Meaning that, you know, sometimes how we marketers, we have, oh my God, I have imposter syndrome. I can't push myself out there. I can push companies I'm working with, but I cannot push myself. But I said that, so as long as what you've done is facts, you're not bragging. You're just saying what it is. And then we have our third and not the least speaker. We have Adaugo Ezeala, and she's a marketing and business expert with a remarkable ability to transform brands and drive memorable business results. She's the CEO and co-founder. She's the co-founder and head of growth at SokoSQ, and she empowers African SMEs with AI-powered marketing tools and business solutions. Her work speaks for itself. She has been able to build a vibrant community of over 8,000 business owners through our community, and she has personally helped businesses generate revenue. I know I was going through her LinkedIn profile, and one thing just caught my eye. I said, let me read what I saw exactly. She said, "I have helped companies generate over $3 million in revenue, acquire over 1 million verified users, and manage over $1 million in annual marketing budgets." So I'm saying all of this to say that our speakers are not small. So you'll be doing yourself a great disservice if you don't have your writing materials here, if you're not jotting down something to learn from our speakers. So now it's so nice to have you, our first speaker for today. Not speaker, I'll be asking some questions and I'll be expecting some feedback. Hello, Adaugo. It's so nice to have you. How are you doing today?
Hi, Precious. Nice to be here too. And I mean, your introduction was the bomb. I don't think I need to speak. I need to speak anymore. But thank
That,
you for having me here.
you're welcome. That's amazing to hear. So now I'll start with you first because you're the last person I introduced.
Yeah.
So I know that your work has acquired over 1 million users, verified users. You have generated over $3 million in revenue for companies and a lot of these things. So how do you connect these impressive business outcomes to your community building efforts?
Okay, so it is not tricky. It's actually straightforward because before I mean, like, many of us are marketers here, and
Yes.
one thing we know is that before you do anything, before you run any campaign, any marketing effort, you definitely have to define your objective, right?
Yeah.
So being able to, like, the same thing is also applies when building a community, right? Being able to know that, okay, these are like these are the goals that we want or these are the results we want this community to drive for us as a business, as a brand, as a company, right? So once that is defined, then it is very easy to connect it, right? Just making sure that whatever effort you put into your community, whatever outcomes you are trying to derive, actually reflects directly on your business. For instance, let's say you are you sell physical products as a company, and you have a large community. So how do you, if you are a true marketer, you can always tell that, okay, I want to run a campaign, and the goal of this campaign is to drive sales and to get people from the community to drive sales. So being able to define those metrics, being able to define your goal, and then putting in conscious efforts like having unique things like unique links, unique codes, unique directed campaign at the community. So things like that should be able to help you say that, okay, of the fact this community was able to help me derive these results or make this impact on my business. Yeah.
I would like to, I'll come back to you because I would like you to give us very specific details into the success stories, but I'll come back to you. I would like to hear from Peace. Peace, are you with us? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, let me know. Okay, perfect. So I have a question for you. And I'm sure that this question is on the lips of every other person that is going to be watching or that is currently watching this. And in your work with Piggyvest and Pocket, how did your communication strategy actually drive user acquisition and retention? Emphasis on the retention. Were there any specific techniques you used, anything that particularly helped you retain these users you actually got?
Okay, hi everyone. Hi Precious. Good afternoon. Okay,
Good
how did
afternoon.
the communication strategy help with user acquisition? I think for starters, the foundation of good communication is that it is clear and concise and direct. Like, what exactly do you want to be known for? What do when people are thinking of a certain thing, right? What's that one thing you want to be known for? What do you want to be top of mind for, right? So for Piggyvest, it was straightforward, it was savings, right? And we're just clear on saying, you don't have to have all the money in the world, because that's one thing that Nigerians think that, oh, I don't even have enough money. Why am I saving? But it's letting you know that as little as 1K, 500, 200, you can save that amount of money, right? So it's just like breaking down your communication into very clear, tiny bits that the average person can understand. So that helped with acquisition, fair communication, just a sense of community, people just knowing that, okay, there's a brand that is not just a bank, right? They are an actual organization that are relatable. Because at the time, for instance, when we started being very active on social media, a lot of banks were very uptight in their communication, like very serious. You just know that when you come to their page, you know that this is a bank. And then there's now us that we're using memes in our communication, in our social media. We're replying you with hey, hi, what's up, that kind of vibe, and everybody's like, okay, this is different, this feels refreshing, this is relatable. So you can tell that there are actual humans and young people behind this brand, and it just builds that sense of connection, right? So all of this, just tying back to acquisition and stuff. And then retention wise, I think that most importantly for us at the time was, and still is by the way, even though I'm no longer there, so it's making customers feel valued, right? Because a lot of times people spend so much money acquiring customers, and by the time you've acquired the customers, you feel like your work there is done, and that's when your work is actually just starting. So making customers feel very valued, making them feel like you hear them, you see them. Customer support is very important. Like, it cannot be overemphasized, right? Because that's like one key area of retention. If I have a problem and I know that you are responsive, if I reach out to you, you will answer me, give me good solutions in time, I think that it just makes sense for me to stay here. You would keep me as an active user. There's that. And then just incentivizing customers, giving them value for their money. Because if you're going to say that I should come save my money with you, what am I getting in return? What are you offering me that other people in the market are not offering me as well? So it's just like making sure that your value prop is right, and just making your customers feel very valued.
Thank you very much. I think that was very insightful, and I would definitely agree with the point of you saying you have relatable communication, because yes, banks can be uptight. I know that Sterling Bank at the point was trying to bring the Gen Z feeling, but then when they release something, some creative ads, they're always getting shut down. But I feel like Piggyvest really understood what it means to be relatable, and thank you for sharing. And also the part of customer service, very important, very very important. I feel like a lot of people spend money and then at the end they don't end up using they don't end up retaining those customers. I have a follow-up question, and I think I'll just ask it now. you mentioned something about certifying customers. So where do you draw the line? Because I'll use a classic example of there's this brand, I'm trying to remember the name. Is it Ope? Yes, Ope was doing bike, right, before it moved to what they are doing now. I think so. But the time they were doing 15 naira in Ibadan, I know it was very big, like 15 naira for anywhere in Ibadan. And that was a way of certifying customers. So what do you think they did wrong that probably made them go out of the market? I'm not sure if it's OP. If it's OP, please correct me. If it's not, then it's fine.
Okay, I mean, this is my first time of hearing it.
Oh,
Or
really?
I don't know if
Oh, yeah.
it's OP
It was
or
everywhere, actually.
no, I don't know. Sadiq is laughing. Sadiq, can you help me? Is it OP?
Please help us.
I remember that when I was in school, Ope
Mhm.
used to do something that I think you order food for 10 naira. Was it 10 naira or 20 naira?
Yes, thank you.
Right?
Was something very ridiculous like
That's how
that.
many
Alright,
were opening from.
alright,
So I know that they left that vertical to focus on the fintech arm.
alright.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, hearing that, number one, it doesn't sound sustainable.
Mhm.
So I think the most important thing is to make sure that whatever strategies that you're employing are sustainable at the end of the day, because
Yeah.
there's no point if you're going to lose money, right, in process of doing this thing. Or if you're going to say, oh, you want to do this, and in the long term you cannot continue in the next 6 months, 1 year. I mean, there's stuff that you might do short term. So it's also to know what is short term, what is long term, right? Because there are some things that you can just keep up with in as a campaign, and it cannot be your entire strategy. There are things that you just leave as a campaign, as a one of just do it, acquire whatever customers you want to acquire with that strategy and keep it going, not to now make it your entire DNA, and you are known for the as the app that gives people food for 10 naira, right?
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, please. That was very interesting. I was actually surprised I did not know. And then I would like to go to Sodiq, if that's fine. So we know you as the GDG guy. That's the person that comes to anybody's mind when they hear your name. And so Dare First Lagos by GDG and other Dare Fest have become a major event in Africa. We're not even going to lie. And so, what strategies or approaches did you use to build such a strong brand story and position it successfully within a very short time? What strategies did you use? You can share that with us.
Where do I start from like this?
From the beginning.
So just to add, I don't think that I did all of the work.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yes.
that let's say my forefathers and foremothers, people that have come before me, they've done a ton of work in making sure that the community is at the level that it is now. And I
Mm-hmm.
also think that that's one side. But the other side is that because the way the GDG program works, we call it a one to few to many program, meaning that while there is a central team, ideally that works at Google that manages the program, we work with organizers in different cities, Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Kinshasa, Kigali, whatever city you can think of, and then they now put together those events. So we sort of provide that support, whatever it might be. It could be in terms of resources, it could be in terms of speakers, it could be in terms of sometimes funding for those events. So I would say that, and has been around for a while. So one thing I've noticed, especially with developers, is because that's the aspect that I'm coming in from here, Dev First, the name Dev, is that developers like to be in a community. So we found out that almost every developer has been in one community or the other in the life cycle of their career. And so meaning that just by knowing that when you come to Dev First, for example, you would, be able to network with other people, you'll be able to connect with everybody, and you'll be able to see some of the OGs in the industry, whether they are having a session or they are just attending, are sort of being the unique appeal to make different people want to show up and attend Dev Fest events. And then you find out that, so you are networking. For some, they are meeting, maybe you've been talking with somebody on Twitter for so long. It's now that it's like the end of the year party. And I also think that also it's being placed at the end of the year. It has its own disadvantage, but the major benefit is that it's like the tech end of the year party for us to end. Sometimes if, like last year, for example, last year was really tough for everybody. So you find out that it looked like, let's wrap up the year with this after all the different things have held or happened during the course of the year. So I would say that building on those layers as what has really helped, making sure that the right content, the right networking environment is set, and just supporting the organizers to put together all of those amazing things that you see on social media.
Okay, thank you very much. I think one thing I really liked was the fact that you also did not take all the credit, because definitely you had a solid team backing you and you gave credit to that. And I think that's amazing. I'll still come back to you because I'm sure that people still have a lot of questions for you. And to our audience that's watching us and enjoying, please don't forget to get your questions ready. In as much as this is a session for you or for our speakers to share from their wealth of experience, it's also very important that you ask questions that are personalized to you. So this is a time for you to get personalized feedback. We're going to have like a very specific Q&A session where you can ask questions, you can pick the minds of these amazing minds here and get real-time feedback that can actually go back and practicalize and get results. Because it's not just enough to say, oh, this is how to do it, but you're actually going to meet people that have done it, gone ahead of you in the game, and actually seen results from that. So if you have any questions or if you have any burning learning light bulb moments, anything I want to ask, either to specific to your community or to your brand, feel free to pen it down so that when we get to the Q&A session, you're going to be asking that without having to start thinking of questions to ask. It's a good time to maximize this moment because you don't know when you see these people again. You don't know. So now I would like to go back to you, Ezeala, if that's fine. I'd like to go back to you. And now you spoke a lot about, when I asked the first question, you spoke a lot about what you did, how you were able to connect your communication, your community efforts to the business outcome, because I feel like most times marketers address it in isolation, but you're able to tell us how you're able to integrate it. But now we like a specific success story. There's nothing that connects people to each other more than stories. So I want to know a specific success story that you've had, either as a community manager, in your years of experience working as a marketing manager. So tell us a specific story that where community engagement actually directly impacted the numbers. Maybe something that your community did, maybe an engagement initiative or a communications campaign that was pushed out. So just like to hear tell us the good, the bad, the ugly, the difficult, the sweet. We want to hear all the details. We are in for that, right? Please.
Okay. Thank you, Precious. So there have been various instances, but I think the very one I would love to share would be the one that directly concerns me, and this is my company, SokoSQ. Before I go into the details, let me just give a background about SokoSQ. It is a SaaS platform that provides small business owners with e-commerce websites equipped with business management and marketing solutions. So before this story is about how we were able to go to market with a community-led approach. So before we actually launched the product, even before we started building the product, I already branded this SokoSQ Network. And the goal was very clear, because myself, I'm a product of communities. And just like Sodiq said, developers, tech people, human beings generally, we thrive in belonging to communities. We value communities like family, friendship, career networks, and that was what sort of prompted me to starting the SokoSQ Network, because I discovered a gap for so many SMEs. They had challenges with access to education, access to the right resources to grow their businesses, tools, and all of that. And that was why we started this community. So to just create a platform for these SMEs to thrive and share, grow, build together. This community ran for almost a year, and we had gotten a lot of feedback. I think that would be the first success story. We got a lot of feedback. We were able to do a lot of surveys on identifying major pain points for business owners. How can we drive sales? How can we help these businesses grow? Particularly because they are small businesses and they have limited resources at their peripheral. So the first thing was building on this community, building a product that was born out of this community. The second was when we had built the product, but we were sort of trying to get feedback, right, from people, actual users of the product, and who else to go to than the members of this community who are actually business owners. So we were able to drive not just user acquisition, better testing, right? Got valuable feedback that helped us refine the product before we could go to market. And then when we went to the market, we didn't even start with trying to acquire users from outside. We sort of tried to acquire users from within the community. And in less than 30 days of launching the product, we're able to onboard 300 users, actively transacting users on the website, on the platform. So the platform is, you get a website, you're able to sell, you're able to make transactions, you're able to process, receive payments from your customers. And we got people who were actually doing this stuff on the product. I mean, that moment, it was actually a moment of realization for me. And it was like, so this effort this thing you've been doing for the past how many months actually drove success for you and is currently driving success, right? The second was product improvement. I already spoke about refining, and that is an ongoing process for us at SokoSQ. Because we build this product based off data, based off needs, based off pain points from the actual users within the community, we keep requesting for feedback. And one thing about companies or startups is that if you are not able to refine your product based on the actual need or solution it's supposed to solve for your business owners, then you are just building your products for, I don't know, for yourself and maybe your team members. So constantly we've been able to, I mean, we are 4 months into running this, into launching the product and actually it's being live. And we've been able to get over 1,000 users. And for every user we get feedback from them. And because we have a close community system that's on WhatsApp and even our online social media platforms, right? But the WhatsApp majorly, we're able to communicate with these guys or with these business owners one-on-one to sort of understand how this product meets their needs. Is it up to their expectation? Does this solve this particular problem for you? And when we get that feedback, we're able to replicate, go back to our product, refine, and try to make it very suitable for them. So, I mean, all around, my success story is acquiring users via a community-led approach, building a stronger product, and even having a super product based off results gotten from, or based off feedback and survey gotten from this community. So yeah, I think that would be one of many stories I have, but I think this is one that is really dear to me.
Yeah, it is the one of many. It's like giving, I know what I'm doing. I've done this, I've repeated this over and over again. So please don't talk to me anyhow. Thank you. I thank you for sharing this story. I feel like, when you're starting out something new, it's a whole different ball game entirely. And then seeing you being able to use your skills to bring something this beautiful is amazing. So that will lead into my next question, and I will actually throw it open to the entire speaker. So I would like that Sodiq goes first. And the question is based off the success story you shared. It said, so it is, what are the metrics, or what do you think are the important metrics to monitor, to track success of your community-driven efforts? So what metrics are you looking at? What things define success for your community?
I'd have liked you to ask me last. I'll just say, just building on what is. has said that I'm in agreement with both of them. But I want to start with it really, metric or success is different from community to community. So when you know that, so ideally, right, because at a point in my life, I will not mention timelines, but at a point in my life, because I've been doing this DevRel thing for a bit, one of the things that we used to care about was the number of people that attended an event, for example. So you want to do a large event where you have 2,000 people, maybe virtual events. Even during COVID, you wanted to say, we're able to put 1,500 people on an online platform and engage them for a campaign. Or you say that you're able to put 1,500 people to go through a learning program that you have created as part of the community building efforts that you have. Now, these days, that has tilted to more of adoption. So meaning that it's not just enough for, say, okay, we want 1,000 people to be a part of this community or to be a part of this campaign, but we want to know how many people maybe built something or adopted a sub technology or even the main technology as part of that campaign. What this is trying to tell you is that you first need to understand your community and the type of community that you have, and then the metrics that you then use is now based off what matters most to you. So I hope the story that I gave now gives context to the type of answer that I shared, and I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does a whole lot. Thank you for sharing. Please, would you like to share your opinions on this, on the metrics based off the people you've worked, the base of the brand you've worked, the base of the community you've grown? What key metrics, or what are the key metrics for you?
Okay, so I think that this is like relative, right? But as with everything in life, there should be a goal. So it depends on what your goal is. Why are you doing a community
Yeah.
building efforts in the first place, right? So if your goal is to raise awareness, so that's what you will track. So your goal cannot be awareness and then you are tracking for conversion, right? It's not, they're like worlds apart, they're opposites, right? So if your goal is conversion, your efforts are targeted towards conversion, how you're going to get the people in this community to convert. And then what does conversion also look like for you? For some people, conversion is acquiring users. For some people, is getting them to perform an action, right? So it's now, again, it just boils down to the let's just say case by case scenario of
Okay.
things. Right, so we've partnered with communities where it's just, oh, we need more people to know about this product, or we need better testers for this product that we are working on, and we are trying to get quality, what's it called, quality testers, right? So not just random people, a certain demography of people your community. Say we want to partner with, for instance, maybe Sodiq's community, and we're like, oh, we want young developers to test this product that we are building, right? So our goal here is to get better testers. Our goal here is not conversion, it's not acquisition, it's none of all those things. It's to just get quality testers for a product. So yeah, that's just how I just approach tracking success generally.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing that scenario too. I think it was easy to bring it home with that. So I would like you to take us down the memory lane a bit. I mentioned, I don't know that you're here earlier, but I mentioned earlier that we have something in common, both of us. We both want to become medical doctors. So that's one thing. And so I would like you to share your journey. I feel like sometimes when people hear stories, you know how one thing I used to say when I was younger, or one thing I've come to realize is that we pick our professions based off what we see around us. And so when we're younger, it was so prestigious to be, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, something like that. And so that was what was reigning then. But now things have changed. It's now more of tech and everything. So I'm just like you to share your journey with us, moving from microbiology down to being in marketing. How did that change happen? When was that time you said, you know what, marketing it is? I love marketing. I want to be here. I'm facing it head on. Did you get any opposition from parents? Was anybody saying, oh no, you must become a doctor. You need to go back to study medicine. You must do this. just give us a bit of that journey. We'd like to hear all the details, most importantly.
It's a long journey. A very long journey that was not even straightforward. But I think that a bit of backstory, even before microbiology and medicine. I think medicine was just one of those things where, growing up, everybody wants their child to be a doctor. So even
Yeah.
before you know what other professions exist in this world, you've already been conditioned to being a doctor. I want to be a doctor. You don't even know that something like marketing exists, right? But I've always been that. Even my mom had a business, like a provision store where like we had wholesale juice and all that, drinks and all that. And then, after school sometimes I'll stop by, and then with my small mouth I'll convince people to buy stuff, right? And then people would just be like, "Here's your daughter. Oh." You get this your daughter. Oh." And even then I didn't know what it meant. So I was like, what's marketing? He's doctor. Oh." So, but I mean, just that background. So I was a very outspoken child. I could talk. I could, even if you don't want to buy it, you will not buy it because I've told you to buy it. So there was just that basic or background, natural talent for marketing, or
Okay.
just talking generally, or being persuasive, convincing people. And then, I mean, still trying to be a doctor, and then jam started jamming me, and I'm like, you know what, please, oh, I
Not
cannot do this.
you.
Let me, let me look for the closest alternative. It's as if I'll leave this Dr. Jones for you guys, because God I beg. So like microbiology was just like the next best thing. I mean, I was running away from physics and chemistry. I was just like, oh, biology is in this thing. Okay, I will not do physics and chemistry. But alas, there's physics and chemistry where you actually want to do microbiology. But yeah, that's besides the point. I mean, in process of jamming me, right, I started just exploring other things. So I got into events, started managing social media accounts with people. And it's like, oh, you can actually do this thing, right? So I'm in school studying microbiology, but I'm making money off events and social media marketing and all that. And after school, I didn't even collect my certificate. I just said, bonjour, merci, guys. So I just went straight into marketing full time. I mean, not so I went into marketing. I was still managing accounts, still doing events. Then I got into Piggyvest as well, studying social media. I'm customer support actually, but for social media specifically. And then from there, I entered marketing full time, managing the social media accounts, leading the marketing team, and all that. So yeah, that's like long and short of it.
Okay, thank you for the story. And I feel like everybody here, if not everybody here, can relate to the jamming them. I feel like everybody at one point wanted to do something, and then jam gave them a different course, or they did not get cut off, or they did not get the procedure. And I think it was the same for me too. I was like, yes, this doctor thing, we're going to get there, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna be a doctor. And at the end, and then I just saw my procedure, I was on fire. I had like 287. My jam, I was on my like I was on fire, 4 A's, 5 B's. When positioning was coming, I was like, we're going to finish them. And then I saw the score. I was like, okay, it looks like they finished us. So I think everybody can actually relate to that. And it's very beautiful that you shared your story with us. So now I would like to hear from Ezeala, because I'd like to hear a bit more about your story, and most time the challenges you actually faced. I feel like every great thing that you're building comes with its own fair share of challenges. So what are some of the challenges you experienced building a community, especially the challenge of, I think everybody here can relate to it, is when you're starting a community, at one point you don't know what to do again. Nobody's responding to you, the engagement is down, everything looks like nothing is working. So how are you able to overcome that issue of not of communities that, or people that were not engaging, and what other challenges did you experience, and how did you solve that?
Uh, okay. So I think challenges differ, yeah, from based off like goals of different communities. For instance, when I just started off, I started working. I worked with a B2C, an e-commerce platform that sold to customers. They had a very very large um, online community, I think over 100K across platforms. The problem was not getting them to engage. The problem was getting past the noise, especially because one of the communities was a group, this Facebook community, and that community was giving us money, but there was so much noise. You like people just go off the point that it is now hard to control the crowd. That is one challenge. But I think the most consistent challenge, which you already mentioned, is sort of scaling the community, keeping them engaged always, trying to scale engagement. You want to move from 10 people participating in a discussion or attending an event to 50 people. So I think that's a very consistent engagement, because for every organization, there's always this strive to grow and to move beyond where you currently are. So for me, I think the first thing that has worked for me, and I think I adopted this strategy later into my career, would be segmenting your communities. The mistake people make is treating all of their communities as the same. There was something I saw sometime and the thing struck me. It says you are you, or you behave as you would do because you are on a particular platform. When you go to a different platform, you could actually behave entirely differently. And a typical example is how you interact on Instagram, on Twitter. Is very different from how you would interact on LinkedIn, or very different from how you would interact with emails. That's if you're getting newsletters, right? So being able to segment your community, right? Even within a particular platform, segmenting users in, or like users in the community. So a typical example would be, or a live example would be our SokoSQ community. We have the major platform or major community where all of the members are. We share resources, we talk. But then we got to this point where it was hard to keep up, right? Hard to get everyone to engage. And then there are different people on this community. We have people who are active users. We have people who are not actually active users. We have people who provide services. We have people who sell physical goods. So how do we sort of meet each of these groups at their point of need? So what we did was then have breakout communities, right? So segmenting them, understanding different segments in your community, understanding how they behave across different platforms, and sort of crafting personalized engagement strategies for them. So we broke out our community. We still have the major platform here. We still have other communities on social media. But within our WhatsApp community, what we're able to do is we broke out people who are active users. We divided the community into two different groups, sort of just so that we can still have this sense of they are little and we can still engage them, right? And then there is this thing, I believe, or how I think I have been able to groom my community members, is empowering your community members to become advocates of the community in such sense that when you are not available, or when a particular admin is not available, your community members can actually advocate for the community. Right, that way you can have retained engagement even when there is, maybe you don't have, like you said, you don't have anything coming to your head to sort of use to engage the community at that particular point in time. So I see things, and this is something I'm actually very proud of. I see things like people join the community and ask, what's this community about? And before any of the admins can respond, we have people who just pick up the message and say, oh, welcome to SokoSQ. The company does this community shares resources. We do not know these guys. We've not actually prompted them to say, oh, respond to new people. They are just doing it because they've been able to get enough good value from the community, and then they sort of see the community as belonging to everyone. So it is for us by us, right? So there is no one, like, you don't have to just wait for someone else to come and respond, right? So then I think the final thing would be just getting regular feedback. at any point for different communities where I have sort of overseen, when you notice, or I notice that maybe there's been dropped engagement, or the engagement rate has reduced drastically, we sort of try to get feedback, right? What are we not doing right? Why, maybe select people. Why are you not contributing? What's the problem? Is it time? Is it, I know there was one particular time the issue was the platform where the community was on. We had to migrate the community to another platform because we figured that people were not, that is not a platform where people visit regularly. So sort of getting feedback and then acting on it, and sort of trying to do your research, understanding why this issue might be happening. Why are they not engaging? Is it the content you're giving out, or do they no longer find your product valuable? Sort of get this feedback, act on it, and then meet your members at the point of their needs. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think one thing that I really had to jot down was the advocate thing, when you mentioned that you actually have advocates for your brand. I think that's very important. I would also like you to go a bit deeper into how we're able to build these advocates, because yes, we know that it is so nice to have people speak for your brand. So is there any specific thing that you did that helped you build advocates for the brand or for your brand?
Uh, so I would not say we
Mhm.
consciously wrote down a goal to say we want to create advocates. Well, I think the secret sauce was in building a valuable community, right? When your community members constantly gain value from your community in terms of education, being included in the activities. So we don't just come and dish out maybe resources. We sort of engage them in conversations. And if anyone here is a part of SokoSQ community, you see that we discuss like we are a group of friends. Like you see my
Oh,
community manager coming to say, how business or how market to someone come and say, my sister, I've not seen anything. No, we bless God. I mean, a few days ago, someone came and because it's a new year, we are still trying to come up right goals and all of that. And then someone someone messaged one of the admins. I was like, I've not seen you for like 2 weeks. Are you okay? Is everything fine? So that's
mhm.
sort of creating a sense of inclusion, right?
Yeah.
Someone came to me and said, you have not posted anything on your social media. Is it okay? I'm like, no, dear, we are just, now it's New Year, January, we're trying to like plan and all of that. So sort of constantly delivering value. Once your members, once they are immersed in what your company or your community or your brand is all about, once they see purpose, once they are getting things from it. I tell people that this life is very transactional. There's
Yeah.
nobody that is you apart from your family that doesn't want to get something from you, and you would also get something from them. So once there's an exchange of value, right, and then there's constant engagement, and then they see themselves included in the process, then I'm sure that it will be very easy for them to become advocates. You don't even have to do so much. So
Yes, so that's the one. One thing I'm thinking of is that life is very transactional. The earlier we come to terms with that, the better for us. Thank you so much. I'd like to hear from you, Sodiq. Do you have anything to say as regards reactivating a community that was probably dormant, or reactivating community members that are no longer really interested or no longer engaging as they should? Have you had any experience with that? And generally, what has been your challenges working with a community like the Deaf First community, the GDG community? Could you share a bit of that with us? Let us know how you were able to also solve those challenges so that we too can learn from you and take it back to our base and then begin to act the magic.
So there's something that you do. You will close your eyes, then you now blow.
Eh,
A new sheriff is in town.
to
Then it's
activate.
oh God, it's not
it's exactly 3 times, 1 seconds apart. Once you do it, it's over. Okay, I'm just kidding. I
really.
I I think that so one thing that is always important is firstly ask or find out that the so I first have to say that not all communities are necessary. And not all communities need to have 1 million people, right? I'm part
Yeah.
of some communities where we are just 25 people max at any given point in time. And it's a community. So, there are closed group communities like that, close-knit community. So what I tell people is, number one, understand. So if you are, whether you're trying to, let's say the community died, or you're trying to reactivate, or you're even starting a new community, number one is understand the value of the community and be able to communicate that value. So meaning that, in Twitter parlance, they will say, what do you bring to the table? So trying to understand what the community brings to the table in the lives of the members. Then number two, understand your people, because so let me give an example. If I tell Dev First Event or GDG community, so even I start a developer community for a programming language called Fortran, or more, it's be like I'm trying to pass through because nobody writes Fortran anymore. Or Fortran, Fortran. Okay, there are people that still write Fortran, but most people do not write Fortran anymore. So meaning that ideally, while your motive might be right, but you are not talking to the right audience, because ideally people that write Fortran probably have gray hair or white hair. So you know that you'll not find them on Twitter, for example. That's number one. So that's number two. Then when you understand the value that you bring to the table and you understand your people, the final part is now pulling everything together and combining it together. So you know the value and you're able to tell the value, because there's one thing for you to know the value that your community have in your mind. There's another thing for the people that are in the community to know and understand that this is what this community will give, and this is the benefit. So all of those peace marketing tactics that you can just take and now to communicate so that the audience will understand the value of better, being a part of your community, using your product. It sells them to join, and then now combining both of them together and provide and delivering on that result. Now, if the community is already dead, you first want to start by doing a postmortem. So trying to understand what happened, because if you're assuming that okay, let me just kickstart and it will work, it's possible that the value that the community is providing, maybe the wrong people are the people there. You have the right mindset, but the right people are not there. It's possible that you have the right people, but it's not what you are providing for them that is there. So, for example, if you say you are starting a community for people that are making $1 billion or 1 billion naira, I might be there, but you say Sodiq is not talking, but I'm not making that. I'm not peace. So ideally, I will not be there. I will run away and wait when you are doing community of my own set of people that earn 100K per month. Hey, I'll be in that one in the front. So understanding the what's it called? Understanding your people and your value. So doing a postmortem to first understand what went wrong and speaking to the community members, and then doing an assessment. I call it the community matrix. So just doing that assessment of what has gone wrong, and then now seeing where you can begin to fill in the gaps, and then constantly checking in to see what you can do to make, whether it is your processes, whether it's to just make everything better. I hope that clarifies the question.
Yeah, it does. And I think I really like the approach you came in with. You not just deep head dive into the question. You actually, first of all, wanted to understand why that was happening. Like you went to the root. And I feel like that would actually help people to even approach problem solving in a different way. Not just say, oh, this is a problem, let us attack. But understanding, oh, why, what could have caused this? How can we look at this situation again and in that direction? I feel like that was also a very nice way to approach it. And it's not going to be lying. You said that you are not among the people that earning 1 billion. Why are you lying? It is not good. Okay, so I would like to get one piece again. I like calling her my favorite because I mean we both had similar ambitions previously. So I want us to go a bit into the work you do. That's the non-code summit that you do, non-code tech summit. And I want to ask, how were you able to build a community from even thinking that it as an idea to actually bringing it into reality? So what was that process like? What were the challenges, and what would you say that the things that you did that helped the community grow more than you could even imagine?
Hi. So for the non-tech and tech community, it pretty much just started as, me coming into tech as somebody who is not a developer, and somewhere along the line I'm like trying to connect with other people like me if you can still hear me. Hello.
I think so. Can hear you
Okay, yeah,
now.
sorry. Yeah, so it was just me thinking of, I just wanted something or a platform where I could connect with other people like myself. Like it just felt lonely. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what, I'll just create a community for maybe social media managers or marketers, and we can brainstorm, talk about all the problems that we are facing in this tech, how we can help each other out and all that. And somewhere along the line where I was still playing with that idea, I didn't realize that there was even a much bigger gap, which was for all the people that were working in tech that didn't code, right? It just felt like we're not what's it called? We're not tech bros. Like all the tech communities I was seeing were for developers. There was nothing. I'll enter, I'll just be seeing what's that language that Sodiq just said, Fortran, all those
What's
things.
wrong? Yes.
I don't know that. I can't relate. I want to talk to me about what I understand, right? So, I mean, I just realized that, oh, right, there's even a much bigger gap here.
Mm-hmm.
Other people that are working in tech, the HRs, the product managers, everybody needs something that just like speak to them, that is relatable. So instead of just creating a community for social media managers or marketers, I just decided to create a community for um everybody in tech that does not code. So that's how we arrived at non-tech in tech. So yeah, and it's been a very interesting journey because as the community was created, people were just joining like, oh my god, we needed this. How did you know? And it's like, oh okay, wow, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
they're building that, and then okay, fine. It just gradually progressed into now creating an annual event. That's the Noco Tech Summit, still for these same people in tech, because all the tech events again we're now still
I
coding,
know,
and
right? We're looking
okay,
at Sodiq. No
side
shade
eyes,
intended. No
no
shade.
love,
Bombastic side eye.
side eye. So, but yeah, and then we're like, okay, fine, let's also create something for us as well, an event where you can
Mhm.
discuss topics that are relatable to you as a non-technical person in the industry, speak to leaders in the industry, connect, network, learn, grow, and all that. So that's how we came up with the Noco Tech Summit. Yeah.
That's a very interesting journey, and I feel like it was so beautiful for you to turn your problem into something that served not just you but a large number of people. I think that's something that's very remarkable. That's
Mhm.
amazing. And so I would like to hear from, what should I hear from? I think I would like to hear from Peace, not Peace, sorry, Ezeala. I like hearing her voice so much. I think she's just very calm, collected. I know what I'm doing. So I would like to ask, as a senior in marketing, or as a senior person in marketing, you have built communities, you've generated significant numbers, significant results, you've led marketing effort, growth effort. So what would you say are the lessons that you learned on this journey? What are some key things that spoke to you at different points in this journey of being a very senior person in the marketing space?
Hmm. Okay. Lessons. So I think the very first lesson for me, not
Mm-hmm.
just about communities, but like in any marketing efforts, would be understanding and empathy, right? I posted a video last year about understanding the needs of your audience being the key to growth at any level, right? And understanding the needs doesn't just mean the whole target audience thing that we do where you just write age 35.
Like,
No, living, yes. So living like you are the person, make doing interviews, researching into these potential customers or audiences lives and all, and sort of understanding what their needs are, right? I think that would be the very first key, to be able to build a thriving community, because once you understand it, you can meet them at the point of their needs. A very typical example is I watched this show on Apple TV Plus, Severance, and my God, I love that show so much that I've been keeping up to tabs with it. And I don't know, somehow Apple TV knew that I love that show, because there are other shows that have other seasons coming up and then they don't keep me updated about it. But I keep getting various updates and via email, not even like a WhatsApp or WhatsApp community or their social media community. And they keep giving me updates. And I'm like, God, Apple TV knows me so much. And it's also like Netflix, right? The customized the personalized recommendations for movies. I don't like horror movies, and somehow no horror movie recommendation has come out to my screen, but my husband keeps getting horror movies recommendation, right? So understanding what your potential community or what your community members needs are, right, is the key, the very first key. I think the second thing is consistent communication, right? Wherever your members are or your community is, always be consistent in communicating with them, always check up on them, always show up, whatever content, whatever the frequency is, whatever messaging you always deliver, stay true to it and be consistent. The fourth thing would be to always create a collaborative environment. I already spoke about sort of empowering your community members to be advocates, right? So encourage contribution, encourage participation, always seek opinions. If you are in a group, if your online community is a group where people can really like interact with each other, even social media, always seek opinions. What do you think? We're about to do this. What do you think? We want to host an event. Do you like A or B? Or B? That sort of gives your community members this sense of inclusion and feel like they are part of like something very important. And finally would just be to lead by example, right? Leading by example means if it is a WhatsApp group and people are engaging, you would say because they are engaging themselves, you wouldn't want to participate in this conversation. When they see you keep showing up, they also want to show up. So I think these four key things are very, very crucial to building a thriving community.
Hey, thank you for sharing. I think the last point is very dear to my heart too, because I feel like we have leaders now that don't actually walk the talk or walk the walk. They will say yes about doing this, and then their actions are doing otherwise. So I think it's very important that you as a leader is always at the forefront of the activities that are telling your other members to do. So to my visible audience that are watching us, I would just like to remind you that my goal tonight is very simple. Is to make sure that you get home or go home with very, very actionable strategies that you can actually use to build your communities or the brands that are working on. So I want you to take out time, ensure you're jotting. Don't just watch this and just put it to one side. Sit down and take it like you're having a lecture, because it's not easy to get all of these great minds in one place at a particular time to share from their wealth of knowledge. And most importantly, have questions. It is a time for you and for you to pick the brains of these amazing people here. So if you have questions, if you have anything, challenges from the brands you're working with, from the community they're working with, or something that I have not asked already, please feel free to like jot it down so that when we get to the Q&A session, because we have that session coming up soon, you can actually ask the questions and get very specific, personalized feedback answers to all of the problems you are solving. You know, sometimes there's this adage. Is it an adage? I won't call it an adage. That they say that what you're looking for in Sokoto is actually your Sokoto. I need some hands. Oh yeah, everybody, give me hand gestures. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I would like to also talk to Peace next. So Peace, would like to hear from you. You've worked. Okay, so I think we've heard about your non-tech in tech journey. We've heard about your communication strategy. But I think one thing we'd like to know is how have you been able to monetize the community? I feel like a lot of people like the idea of communities, and even more than just marketers, even content creators like the idea of, oh, I want to build this community, but actually now monetizing it is where like the problem is. So how are we able to monetize communities and to ensure that, oh, when I'm monetizing, people still get value and people are willing to pay for that value? So how is the process of monetization for your community like? Would like you to share with us. Thank you.
I think the first question you should have asked me is if it's a not-for-profit community, but I wanted to make money.
Okay. Perfect.
Maybe I didn't want to make money.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that I was very honest when I explained or talked about what inspired the community was not for
Yes.
profit at all.
Mm-hmm.
So monetization was not anywhere in my thinking or in the strategy of the community. But yes, we have had some collaboration, made some money
Money.
and stuff, right?
Money.
But it's just from being able to give value,
Mm-hmm.
giving making people see the value in the community. Because for people, for businesses, right, they are looking at it that, oh, this is a very rich resource of working class people, or young people that are just getting into tech, trying to transition. If you have a no code product, for instance, this is a very good community to come and partner with, to collaborate with, and stuff like that. So it's kind of a niche audience as well. So being able to now package that or portray that, we are now
Mm-hmm.
attracting people that are interested in what we have to offer, what we are selling, which is like our community. So we're
Yeah.
letting you know that fine, if this is what you're looking for, if this is your target audience, right, this is what we have. We have companies that have partnered with us to like test their product, companies that I have what's it called now, like job platforms where instead of head hunting for talent here and there, that
You do.
okay, this community right here, you are going to get, you know, whether it's junior level, senior level, you will find everybody that you are looking for in this community that is not a tech community for developers. So product managers, HR people, designers, and all that. So connecting companies to talents, recommending talents as well to companies, co-marketing efforts really for other companies as well that want to market with us, and down to sponsoring our events is just how we've been able to like make money, in quotes, monetize our value proposition, and just like what we are offering as a community and as an organization generally for Noko Tech Summit.
Sharing. Okay, thank you for sharing. I think most people don't always start like with the intention of making money. That's so noble. But there's some other people like me that needs to make money. But anyways, I would like to hear from Sodiq now. We've managed a lot of communities, a lot of programs across different locations, and I would say that one thing that has been consistent is the level of excellence across those different locations. So, how have we been able to, even though it might not be physically present and stuff, how have we been able to manage these events at different locations and still maintain that standard of excellence across board? What's one thing that you say you are doing, or one thing that your team has been able to do?
Grace of God, though.
Hmm.
I would
Glory to
say that.
God.
I would say that. So when people know what to do, um, it is much easier for people to do something when they already know what to do. So what we do is anytime we're having a campaign, for example, we first put together a deck for the, I mentioned earlier that we do a one to few to many model, right? So we put together a deck that is called the organizer guide that explained what is expected. So for some type of events, maybe it's a technical event, so you can only do a workshop. So that's the only type of event that you can do. For some, maybe it's a watch party, like the Google I/O. For some, maybe it's a mix, a conference style event. So when we have that organizer guide, then we then have a session with all the different organizers everywhere. Whether, for example, I am going to be there because I can't be everywhere at once. There are a lot of communities in Africa, and I'm just one person. But we first have a call with everyone, first breaking down, answering whatever questions that they have. And when we then do that, for the ones that we can attend, we go there physically in person or join them virtually. For the ones that we can't, there are reporting measures. So when you host an event, you report, when all of that report has been sent to us, we then use that to determine, okay, how did the event go? Are there feedback on things that we can change? Do we need to do A? Do we need to do B? Do we need to do C? And we can then use those feedback to make future events or future campaigns better. So just to summarize, number one, having clear direction for all your events of how you want it to go. Not everything will be perfect, and that's fine. But when the direction is clear and the instruction is clear, then it is easier to get it done. Secondly, is making sure that the clear direction, making sure that you answer whatever questions that they have. So sometimes I might just, so maybe even a day to the event, and maybe there's still something that is unclear or something that is changing, because events, a lot of things changes. Maybe a day before, the person that's supposed to share rice has run away with the rice, or your rice is stuck in traffic somewhere. So being able to think on the spot and know, okay, let's do this instead, let's do this instead, let's do this instead, so that at least externally it doesn't look like something went wrong. And then being able to do a retrospective after the event to be sure of what went right, what didn't go right, what can we do better in future, and all. So having the answers to all of those will then make the life easier for everybody. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. It actually answered it so well. So we'll be going shortly into our question and answer session. So, like I said earlier, for our audience watching, if you have questions, get ready to ask them. Get ready to pick their brains, because they're here. I'm here for you alone. So now, one thing I'll still like to find out from, I'm still talking with you, Sadiq. I would like to know, how do you differentiate? You know, there are a lot of communities out there. Just say, oh, as long as there's communication going on the community, feel like, oh, that's perfect. So how do you differentiate an active community from an impactful one? And what do you think is that key factor in distinguishing, saying that, oh, this girl has an active community, or you are just doing vibes and inshallah? I think that's what they call it. So how do you distinguish, or what's the key factor in distinguishing an active community from an impactful one?
Okay. How do I start? So I think for me, so there are multiple types of communities. So let me give an example. There's a community that I started earlier last year. It's called the Finance Club, and it's very limited to a few friends, where we discuss all things finance, because finance can be tricky. So and what a metric that I use to judge success for that small community of 20 people is how many people check in and leave a comment, or say something, or give a response to something that somebody has started in the past 30 days. That's number one. Number two, are people vulnerable enough to be able to, because I said friends, so there are literally no external people there. So are people vulnerable enough for them to want to share A, B, or C that they are trying? Because don't forget, money can be tricky. Now, on the GDG side of things, one thing I've been looking at recently is, for each event that's happened, how many people end up adopting a technology. So now I'm thinking more in the likes of, if there's a community, how many people in that community, so what startups are coming out of that community? It's not directly linked to the event, but you know that when startup is booming, it means that they are going to be hiring what? Devs. And when they are hiring devs, it means that they are building good products. When they are building good products, it means that funding is coming into the ecosystem. So it's not, they are interconnected in a way, and you can layer it on top of one another to see that, okay, if we do, and when I walk into a room, for example, and I'm meeting somebody and they say, Sodiq, when you were a student, 5, 6, 7 years ago, how many years ago? I can't remember, X years ago, when you were in Unilag, because you held a master class, or you held a session or a boot camp, and I was part of it. Now I'm working for Bloomberg, or now I'm working for Goldman Sachs, or now I'm working for PiggyVest. And then you can't quantify that story, but you can see the impact in the work that you are doing directly in how Nigerians are now getting all these international jobs. Startups are raising money. People are building fun things and adding to their portfolio. So summary of all of this thing is unique to different communities, but just trying to spot and thinking of the bigger picture, because there's always a big picture at the end of everything. It might look small scale, but just looking at the big picture. So for example, you are helping somebody, non-tech in IT, for example, you help one person, they start their career, and then you find out that, that one person with the small career that they started is about 13 people that depend on them monthly for their own source of livelihood. That's how do you quantify that kind of impact? And you can see that, people's life are being changed, generations are being changed, and that's how the impact has a ripple effect.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I love the angle, or one thing that I'm picking out from everything you said is the looking at it from the big picture. Sometimes you tend to realize and say, oh, it's just a small community. We're just not even that much, just like 20 or just 100, or just not a lot. But looking at it from the bigger picture would help you see things in different lights. And I think that's beautiful. So to our audience, we'll be getting to the question and answer session very soon. So please drop your comment in the or drop your question, in the comment box, so that we can ask our speakers this question. So to round up, I would like to ask both of you a question. So I think I'll prefer Peace to go, Ezeala to go first, because I mean, she's the what they say, ladies first. So please. So I would like to know, what tactics have you leveraged, or what strategies have you leveraged to keep your community members engaged on a week-to-week basis? I know we spoke about this on a generic basis, but sometimes I feel like people might lack very minute details about how to keep their community engaged on a weekly basis. I'm like, oh, I know what to talk about this month, but next month, I don't know. So what strategies or what tactics do you advise people to use, or have you used and tested, that keeps a community engaged on a week in, week out basis? So I would like Ezeala to go first, then and have Peace, and then Sodiq.
Okay, just for your sake, Precious, and every other person, you can call me Ada, because Ezeala is a mouthful.
The one
and, and I'm now about to change my name, but not legally. And that's okay. It's my fault. I've not changed it legally, but soon. Okay, so that was on a lighter note. Okay, so the very first thing is defining your objectives, right? Setting clear goals. And I think this one thing has been consistent with all of the questions, most of the questions you have asked. And objectives should go in line with probably tying it to business outcomes, right? Sort of just thinking that community isn't just about engagement, right? It can be a catalyst for growth, it can be a catalyst for revenue generation, right? So defining clear metrics. What do you want to get out of this community, or what do you want to get out of this engagement, or this, or even week on week, right? You can decide and say, okay, this week I want to drive participation, and I want this participation to translate into whatever it is, maybe event attendance, a sign up, any sales or whatever, right? So just being very clear, setting very smart objectives would be like the very first step. Second is to keep providing value. Don't just quality over quantity, right? Do not just dish out content or just talk for talking's sake. Make sure that whatever you are giving is very valuable to your audience. The third thing would be to facilitate engagement. Always create opportunities for interactions. Just like we're having a webinar now, create opportunities for question and answers, incentivize challenges. That's one thing I know that I've worked in very many Web3 companies, and one thing that's been very popular is that they always incentivize their community. Some marketers might be biased by saying that you are buying your users or your members. But like I said, this life is transactional, right? One way or the other, there has to be an exchange. I might give you money to give me what I want, right? It is still transactional. So always facilitate engagement, create opportunity for interaction, leverage feedback. I'm very big on feedback. I'm very big on understanding your customers. I'm very big on meeting them at that point of need, right? So always facilitate, always leverage feedback. Ask, what are we meeting you at the point of your needs? Do you need anything from us? And we'll be able to see that will happen. A typical example was one of my business owners who transacts via our website. This lady literally messages, I don't know, she has my personal Instagram account, and she ran a sale in December. There were like some things she had issues with, and then she messaged us via the chat box and over the community, sorry, and no one was awake because it was at night. And then she messaged me on Instagram. Immediately I responded. I was like, what issue are you facing? I was able to help her solve this issue. And then I asked her, so like, why did you feel that you could message me? And like, how did you know you were going to get response? And she's like, oh, she knows that anytime there's a question, even on community, during webinars, even during the chat box, one way or the other, I always show up. So she knows that if she can get a very personal contact with me, I'll be able to solve her problem. And that was what exactly happened. And that helped me know that my users or my members, community members, value very prompt customer support. And since then, we've been able to sort of tighten our customer relationship efforts and support to ensure that we're able to meet customers to the best of our ability at whenever they need us. And then very importantly, track metrics. Don't just have a generic goal and say, I want to drive engagement this week, or I want to increase our membership this week. Be very metric driven. By what number, what particular rates what particular metrics are you tracking? Are you particular about your engagement rates? Do you want to track conversions that will be tied to the community effort? So be very, very specific about metric, and then sort of attach some figures to it. And finally, always reward advocacy. I already mentioned empowering your members to be advocates. One thing you can do to even further empower more members is when you see a member being an advocate, recognize the person, reward the efforts. Others see it and then they also want that sort of recognition. It does not necessarily mean that if the person sort of creates a content for your brand on social media, that should be only when you reward. No, contribution in an activity on the community, sort of participation, being very, even people who are always there, right? Just recognize these people, because once you reward, people also want to be recognized in like manner, and then they sort of show up for your brand. So I think these key steps are actually very crucial to driving consistent engagement. Be consistent as well, right? Once you know what you want to do each week, make sure you follow through your plan, make sure you continue showing up, and like I said, quality over quantity. So yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Quality over quantity. I think sometimes you are moved to, I want to every time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I must be talking going on. But I think it's very important that we marketers know that. So I would like to hear from Peace. Would you like to share from your own perspective, from your own wealth of experience, how you've been able to keep your community members engaged on a week in, week out basis? And then we'll now go to Sodiq. Peace, are you here? If while we're waiting for her, I noticed you have a comment. Ajide, if you can hear me, I know you can. I would like, if you like a specific person to answer the question, let me also know in the comments. Or if you like all three to answer this particular question, also let me know in the comments. So yeah, while waiting for Peace, Sodiq, would you like to go then? I think she might have a problem in the network.
I will just say just everything Ada said. Because she really broke it down.
Yes.
Really, and I totally agree with number one, tracking. See, I like tracking everything because you
Mhm.
find out that you cannot optimize what you don't know. So you're trying to keep people engaged, but you need to figure out what matters to you. Is it the number of people that, so let's say you're having a meeting like this, is the number of people that tune into that meeting that is the ultimate number that matters to you? Is the number of people that go back, maybe they can't join live? So for example, if you have a community of people in Nigeria and you're trying to engage them at 2 a.m. on a Monday night, nobody will, unless you're running a club, nobody will be there, right? So, and you maybe now say, let's join a virtual meeting on that day. People would most likely not show up. So making sure that you're now and then it's possible that maybe they will even show up. Maybe let's say, for example, there are communities of say mothers, and maybe that's the time, optimal time for everybody in the group. Children will be asleep to have the meeting. So knowing your community and understanding them and tracking the metric that is most important and working in line with that metric, like Ada had said, is the number one most important thing for you to watch out for. Once you've made sure that you've got your metrics on a lockdown, you can then think of what are the activities that you want to do. Also, it's also good to, I've noticed that communities that push UGC, they're always great. So when you are pushing user-generated content, so it's not just you, the facilitator, there's always thinking of, let me do A, let me do B, let me do, no. There's some user-generated content that you can push. So you don't have to think of all the content by yourself. And then, that can be rotating because members of the community are contributing. If you spotlight maybe a few people in the community that can help you out. People like to contribute to something, but they need to know what they are contributing to and how they can help. So if you spot gaps, or so maybe it can be a community member that will be maybe a host of one of your meetings, or be the one in charge of the blog, or being the one in charge of something that you are holding. So making, or maybe you're even having an event, then members of the community can step in as volunteers. So figuring out those gaps where you can see ways to engage members of the community on a deeper level is really key, and something that you can also use as a tactics to keep members engaged week in, week out.
I was going to, yes. Thank you for sharing. I always like your thinking process and how you approach things. And I think everybody on the call approaches things so differently from the way general people just do that. So we have a question. Please, are you ready? If you're ready, let me know. Or you'd like to pass, you can also let me know. But
And I think they've done justice to
they
this
have done
actually.
justice, right? Anyway, they have
Yeah,
actually.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So now I would like that we have a question from Ajide Mubarak, and it says, "What's your take on bringing trending topics in the ecosystem into your community?" So I would like, who would like to go on? Who would like to go first? Ladies first. Peace.
Wow. I think that jumping on trends is cool, right? But
Mhm.
it's also just important to not lose yourself in the process of that. As a community, what are you here for? So if, I don't know, food is trending on Twitter, you are not a food community. But I
There's
mean,
no.
yeah, it's not. So it has to just be something that makes sense to your community, so that you are not a quote and unquote Bubuero community, right? You're not everything that is happening trending, you are jumping on it, and at some point you just lose your voice, and people are now confused. What exactly is this community about? It now becomes a marketplace, right? So yes, jump on trends, but just make sure that you are not losing your identity as what the goal of your community. Make sure that it's stuff that people can relate to, and be very tasteful with how you jump on it.
Okay. Okay. Like I think we were able to get that from Pete. Not the one that go and do any trends because something is trending, you just do it because it's trending and something that's never relevant to your community. So I would like that if there's any other person, Peace, I don't know why am I always saying Peace? Ada or Sodiq, would you like to go? talking about just answering this question. Okay, said all three. Ajide specifically said we like all three of us, all three of the speakers here to answer. So I think ladies first again. So to go with, we have Peace. So we would have Ada.
Yeah. I don't know. Peace already said everything,
Mhm.
right? But one key thing I would like to emphasize on is relevance, right? While trending
Yeah.
topics can drive significant engagement for you, I actually am a big fan of jumping on trends because we live in a social media era, but always ensure that that particular trend is relevant to your community. It is relevant to whatever outcome you are trying to um, drive, right? I spoke about the email campaign I got from Apple TV. I mean, that is a trend because people talk about the movie, right, online, and it is very relevant. So I think that would be like, that's a very themed way of building engagement, right? On the other end, if I had gotten let's say a horror movie was trending, everyone is talking about it literally, and maybe I am not a horror movie fan, right? Giving me that notification or sending that message into me will be useless, and I might even be spooked off and like, you know what, let me unsubscribe from this email because I don't want someone to give me anxiety. So make sure it is very relevant to your audience, right? Consider every one of your audience. Is there any possibility that this might turn on you? If there is that possibility, then please don't chase clout. I'm not a fan of brands chasing clout for the sake of engagement. So always, if it's relevant, then yes, definitely you should take that.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like some Nigerian brands these days does not understand. They live for clout. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing. Then Sadiq, would you like to go next or go last as the only man standing? Literally.
This is a setup. Oh. When they've said everything, what do you want me to say like this? So I would say that, like Ada just said, relevance is key. So, for example, I'm checking my Twitter upon waking up this morning. I was saying something about Trump. Yeah, if you're in the finance space, then speaking about it or saying something in that line is relevant. But if you are in the either about the responsible part or the moral part or the legal part, whatever, this is not the call for it, but whatever concerns you about it. But if you are in a developer community space, for example, consign us, so you mind your business. So I think the most important thing is making sure that the relevant to the type of your communities and your member of whatever trending topic is the most important that you should be looking out for. If you can get that on a lockdown, then you can see how the trend fits into your messaging, your brand, because something might be trending, but it's not part of your messaging or it's not on brand with the kind of brand that you are building. So making sure that there's a connection and there's a fit is what one should be looking out for.
Yeah, thank you. I think the example you gave just tied everything home and brought everything home. So that was very, very helpful. I'm sure Ajide, we answered your question, right? Let us know if you did that in the comments. And if you have any other questions, we still have time. You can still have mercy on you and just allow you to pick their brains for like 2 minutes. If not, I'll just change our minds. But yeah, I'm just joking. So if you still have any questions, you can still drop them in the comments. And Ajide, let us know if you answered your questions. But I believe that they did justice to the question. And now I'll be welcoming the founder, the convener, the creative director, the convener of the Growth Hackers community, Mr. Olumide, to give us a closing address. I mean, it was not easy to pull this off, so just like to hear from you. You have the floor.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you very
Hi.
much, Precious, for this beautiful session, and thank you to my leaders, Peace, Sodiq, my president, sir, Ada, and also Precious once again. I really appreciate everyone being here. And to everyone who has stayed so far, I think we have had a number of people come in and go out. But it's been beautiful, like just taking a lot of things in and learning. I think I've learned a lot from the different sessions, from Peace to Sodiq to Hada, and just gleaning from the experience. And I think I've also even taken lessons for myself. Me building a community of also myself, and it's been an amazing journey so far. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for this time that you've spared with us and you've also spent with us. So thank you, Peace. Thank you, Sodiq. Thank you, Hada. Thank you, Precious. Thank you so much for your time. And to all our viewers who are currently viewing, if you are going to be looking at, you want to probably ask these speakers, our beautiful speakers, our amazing speakers, a couple of questions, or you want to just engage them in one-to-one, right? You can always reach out to Peace through the details you see, and also same for Sodiq. You can also reach out to him through the details you see, both on Instagram and on X. And for Hada, you can definitely also reach out to her through the details. Basically, they can see on your screen on both Twitter, on both X, Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you happen to have like a business, SokoHQ is a very beautiful and a very amazing community to be part of. Right, I think I've followed a couple of their content on socials, and it's actually giving, right? And so please, if you are interested, you can also just reach out and join. So, and also, in case you need the services of our amazing moderator, either this month or even later, right? You can also reach out to us through these means. So these sessions, this series have been they have been beautiful so far. It's basically us looking and picking one by one the different pillars of growth that are very important for driving growth in Africa, right? So basically, I've spoken to ourselves and said, hey, what are the strategic pillars, the different channels that people have actually leveraged in order to be able to drive growth in the past decade for Africa across different product-led startups in Africa, and we've come to realize that okay, these are a couple of things that people have done, and so we are basically spending time highlighting these different things so that everybody gain one or two things in how and also be and apply it for their own product-led startup, for their own company. Responsible for driving this is the GrowthHackers Africa, and we're a community of growth operators across both early stage and late stage and growth stage companies within Africa, right? So people who are working across different parts of growth, tech marketers, product marketers, growth managers, data analysts, product managers, and the rest of it, right? We basically are in this community, and if you're looking to be part of us, you can always join GHA by visiting the link you see on your screen. So just a bit.ly/sign up to GHA link. If you want to get to know more about us, you can also reach out to me directly. My details, or you can access me Dara of Growth on all socials. Right? So basically on X, Dara of Growth, at Dara of Growth, Instagram at Dara of Growth, LinkedIn also. If you search Dara of Growth, my name will pop up. Right? So you can reach out to me and we can always have a conversation. Once again, it's been a beautiful session so far, and for our next magic trick, right? Next month we're going to be looking through driving product-led growth, right? And so we're going to be having growth managers and growth product managers who have been able to leverage growth loops and also gamification in their own African startup, and we're going to be going through their journey, how they're able to do it, what exactly they implemented, how they're able to align different stakeholders across board to get this done, right? And once again, you want to be part of this, right? So people that have already registered for this session, you definitely get information about the next session as progress is being made. So you don't necessarily need to register again. Well, if you're watching this, probably you're watching the replay and you want to basically register, you can just type in bit.ly/GHA webinars, right? bit.ly/GHA webinars on your browser, and it will take you to where you'll be able to register for the next edition. Once again, if you're interested in joining the community, you can join using the link bit.ly/sign up to GHA. So my people, thank you so much, Peace, Sodiq, Hada for your time. It's been a beautiful one. I don't know if anybody has any last words or any peace outs to make before we call it a day.
I think I've done justice. There's no need for any thank you again. But I think basically my goal here is complete. I believe that everybody here that watched this webinar has received very actionable and practical insight that they can go forth and reproduce in their own community. So I want to see all of those. When you're watching this, I want to see all of those testimonials, those testimonies in the comments, in the chat room. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.